Hello folks, Mel the Terrain Tutor back in his happy place, the studio, back with another terrain vid with you. And this one, it's a showcase. It's done. Now, this is a very important video. I've got lots of other little bits going on. I've got the terrain lab going on. I'm prepping for the project we're doing after this, which is just down there. And I might give you a glimpse of that at the end of the video. But I decided that I needed to do this video. Yeah, and the reason being is, if you remember me finishing off last little bits, I said I'm aiming for finished, not perfect. And then I went away and started tinkering with it and started thinking about other ideas. And oh, I could just add one or two other little scatters. And in my mind, I wasn't finished. And it wasn't over the fact that it was perfect or not perfect. It was over the fact that I wanted to do more. And that's how my mind goes. That's how creative mind goes. They're great at coming up with extra ideas. And when you're committed to a project like this, you just want to make it better. And that's the route I was going down. But it is incredibly counterproductive across the board for creativity and creativity's sake, and from the sense of being a YouTuber and getting sets and getting content out for you, because you keep fiddling. And so this video is as much for me as it is for you, for me to say that this set is finished. Now the set is here. As you can see, you can only see some of it because I put it out as a big set. In fact, let's shift it all up down here a bit, because I've got some photos I can show you. But I've been that long out of the 40k game, I believe you don't even play it on a 6x4 anymore. That's how long I've been out. Now this is where I'm going to get loads of comments, okay, where people are going, the last time we played on a 6x4, look, the last time I played at 40k on a 6x4, Corbin was in primary school. He's now in university. So I'm really good at the terrain. It's just 40k got too complicated for me, especially with the mental health. I used to end up with headaches at the end of the game. Now, for my friends at Games Workshop, if you ever want to invite me down and, you know, give me a refresher and that sort of stuff, you know where I am. Also, permission to film the exhibition area would be really nice as well. Right, let's throw that piece there, because I can get literally all of them on camera. How clever is this? There you are. I believe that's the current size of the table. And at this side of the table, it's actually, do you know, this is why I was on about, I want to add a couple more scatters, because, you know, I normally do more larger pieces than this and it's more spread. But actually, if this is the sort of game area people play on, that's a really good setup. Okay, so this is my Nurgle Swamp 40k board, and it's inspired by a computer game called Valhiem, which is my very favourite computer game. I have my own server with Corbin. Yeah, I'm filling it with art and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's got a great creating system. But any of you who've played the game will know that instantly and fear it with dread for the first time you got your body whopped by not Nurgle. If you look at Valheim and you look at it, you can obviously lots of traces across to Lord of the Rings, lots of traces across to also Nurgle and 40k. You do see it. The swamp boss is called Bowmass, and he looks exactly like a greater demon. Exactly. But that was the inspiration. That's what got this. And I wanted to explore swamp colours like we've done with this. And this was exploring, including like swampy dark colours with the rocks, but also with buildings, you know, and with structures. So that's why everything's got a bit of a green hue to it, because we mix green in with the basic grey right at the start. Yeah, and I'm talking the base coat. The base coat of grey had green mixed into it, and then we lightened that base coat before we used it to basically always keep that line of grey going through it, or a line of green going through it. And that worked really well. The other thing that works is we went for the swamp trees. Now in Valheim, they are much bigger, much bigger. Yeah, and they've got things draping off them. I wanted to do that with this, but it would have required a lot more experimentation. And that's what I was thinking about fiddling about with. But it'd be ages before the set was finished to add just another element to it. And it is really nice. I need to stop beating myself up about my terrain. Yeah, I mean, I've got nearly 200,000 followers. Yeah, you obviously can do a good set pose. Imposter syndrome, we all get it. Especially when you're working in this sort of environment. And what I mean by that is, when you're making terrain, you're not making it with people. You know, you're not making it with other terrain makers. It's hard to get that sort of feedback. You know, you can't have painting sessions like you do with your mates and that sort of stuff when you're painting the models. And so it can leave a lot of doubts. And terrain isn't easy to do because there's so many different elements, not just technical, but aesthetic that you have to work out. And it can be quite challenging, and to do it alone, it's quite difficult. So, in the same spirit as I'm taking on the mantle of finished, not perfect, I also think I need to take on a mantle of, yeah, it's nice. And I like it. I like this set. Normally, I don't say that until at least like 4 or 5 months down the road. And normally after I've seen the response to it and I see other people like it. But no, I like this set. I'm happy with this set. Now is a happy chappy. Right, let's take you through some basic elements. What can we talk about? Right, okay, the buildings. Okay, obviously 40k buildings. Yeah, you can clearly see. But the main alteration I made with these to make it more interesting was obviously the tilt. Now, the way this was achieved was first roughly building the building and then reinforcing it on the inside and then hacksawing it and then sanding the bottom. Now, I'm not saying things went well at all. Things may have fallen apart and it may have been reinforced. The reinforcement may have come in between the cutting and the sanding stage. But this is terrain. But overall, the effect worked. Now, the bottom was jaggedy, and I ended up using a pair of clippers and all sorts to sort of get it right and get it balanced. Yeah, but I just blended it in with a bit of Daz putty. Yeah, and just made a little bit of hillocks where I needed, just to hide the little bits. So if you come around here, see a little bit of a raised bit there. That was just to blend that in, and it worked perfectly. Now, with the other building, I didn't just want buildings to be line of sight blockers. Yeah, so what we've got here is a taller building, line of sight blocking and no entry at the bottom. Yeah, but 2 nice positions, and it's angled at 20 degrees, which means models won't fall over on it. Okay, so you can place models. On top of that, I've made a point of texturing and actually putting some flock down on there. Now, this is not just for aesthetic purposes, it's actually to give it a bit of grip so models don't slide. Yeah, so that'll apply a bit of grip to the piece. Yeah, and so if you put models on there, they shouldn't fall over and they shouldn't automatically slide towards the corner. That's the theory. Models nowadays come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, but that's the theory working forward. And normally on old models, that'd work. But you never know nowadays. 3D prints, resin, plastic, metal, all sorts of bases, all sorts of flying bases and that sort of stuff. Yeah, don't put a flying base on it. But that was the idea about this, to make a more functional piece. Yeah, one that sort of rises up, reinforcing that idea of it being tilted in. And you can see I've gone heavy with the DAS here because that was a right hatchet job. Yeah, a little bit more there and definitely around there. I mean, I haven't even really blended that in that well, to be perfectly honest. But overall, a very nice effect. Yeah, that's functional as well. Right, let's talk about skulls. Now, this is a cheap Halloween skull. £1 I think it cost. Yeah, jaw was taken off and then all I did is sanded the bottom. This is the Bowmass summoning, summoning portal from the game. Now, this was the actual inspiration for the actual piece. I'd got the skull, I'd been playing the game, and I thought, do you know what? I really like that. I really like that a lot. So this was the piece that actually started these, and then the other elements came along with it. Yeah. Now, the piece in there, that's just Daz putty, and all I've done is just gone in with my brush, end of a brush, the not the bristle end, the wooden end that you hold, and just worked it. Yeah. Put some streaks to the top there. I quite like that. and then just layered it up through a few different army painter greens. Yeah, nothing too fancy, yeah, but overall a brilliant effect and a real feature piece if you know the game. Now, this is a resin piece. It's a commercial piece. I think it was already painted when I started it. It's from Pegasus Hobbies, and it's their Altar of, I think they called it Chaos. But it was definitely like Pegasus Hobbies made it for use in Games Workshop stuff. Yeah, and there are small companies back in the day that did that before Games Workshop got that big, and they discontinued the lines. Yeah, but this has been sitting in my studio since I started the terrain tutor. Yeah, I had it before I actually started the channel. And so with this, it just seemed, yeah, let's use that. Let's get it moved on. You know, let's do something good with it. And so all I did was a simple repaint, yeah, and then just added the spot colour to tie it back in. And it's got that skull in the middle, yeah, so it sort of does tie in, and it'll go well with this set. And at least this piece, although it's not officially in 40k, all that sort of stuff, at least this piece is part of a set and it's going to get played with finally, rather than sitting on my shelf. Like that bridge and that river we need to do things about that are still sitting there. Right, moving on. Right, before we move on, I'm going to take a quick break because it is the middle of a heat wave here in the UK. And if you're hearing me and you're seeing me, I'm sweating a bit, I'm getting a bit of a dry mouth, so I'll be back in a flash. Right, a little bit more refreshed and a little bit more hydrated. Got about the heat, got to crack on. Right, on to the general pieces. Now these were me playing with swamp colours, okay, and basically getting back into resin, yeah, learning how I can work it. At the same time, having a play at upping my foliage game and my ground cover. Yeah, or at least experimenting with the swamp stuff. So the ground cover is a variety of tufts, some of them homemade, some of them are from Worldwide Scenics. These are green stuff, little blobs, and I've just stuck me end of my brush in there. And then we've got a little bit of ground mix made up of silver birch seeds and little bits of twigs and stuff like that. Overall, very nice. Now the flocks are from Gale Force 9 from their scenic elements. Gale Force 9 have a really good range of basing scenics. Yeah, really good wide range. And although they're not really suitable to do large sets for, you know, you can often buy scenic foliages a lot cheaper. They're really good for doing accents and that sort of stuff. In this case, I'd bought quite a few of them, and I thought, back in the book when I was doing the book, I actually picked up about 3 or 4 tubs of each one. And I just thought, right, let's get them used. So we went through a few tubs of their various greens and stuff like that. Now these are from Gale Force 9. Yeah, Dirt Flock Foundation, Marsh Blend, and Dirt Flock. Yeah, I think I hammered the Dirt Flocks, and I used the Marsh Blend just for touching up and giving it a hint of green in it. Now remember, it is all in the videos. You can go to the past videos, scroll back, you'll see the various elements in there. When I did this, I didn't really put it into a playlist or a dedicated playlist because I was doing odds and sods. So it's easier just to look at my general videos and scroll back if you want to see each and every technique of how I did this sort of stuff. Now finally, you've got the mat itself. Now the mat itself is, what do you call it? It's actually a, who was this? This is Deep Cut. Oh yeah, and it was actually one of their forest pieces. Yeah, and we hit it with an airbrush, really darkened it out using the same browns as we did for the basing of the ground. Yeah, the same base paint. What that did is made it really nice to blend in with. And if you really want to take it a little bit further, you can just get some of the loose leaf scatter, some of the clump that we used, yeah, and we can just spread it out as well and blend it all in. Yeah, but overall, a really lovely set. Now, what's happening with the set? Yeah, in fact, no, I'll show you photos as we go. I'm trying to figure this out as we go. It's hot and the brain isn't working 100%. I'm thinking about what I'm doing right now, not what the structure of the video is. We'll get there, don't worry. Right now, the set was built, and the idea was I was going to raffle it off, but I was going to give it to the charitable organisation that I support, Models for Heroes, and they were going to raffle it off. But that was about 6 months ago when I last talked to them. So I need to reach out to Malcolm, see if they're still up for it, see what we can do to market it and that sort of stuff. So you probably will see this set again, yeah, but in the sense of it being a prize for something. And I wanted Models to Heroes to actually have the set before we actually announce the raffle, or however they want to do it. Because I just wanted, at that stage, all I wanted to do was promote it. Yeah, I wanted them to already have it, have everything they need, and then take the money, do the calling and that sort of stuff, and just let me help them raise money by promoting it and building the set. And this is important because it's something I want to do moving forward with the terrain tutor. So unless I'm building something specifically for me, yeah, which is the next set that's under there, because the next one's for me, everything I'm going to build set-wise is going to be going to Models for Heroes and raffled off. Assuming they're happy with all that, like I say, I need to reach out. But that's the plan for this set. So, a little bit of pre-promotion, but keep an eye on my socials and that sort of stuff, because if you'd like to actually own it and game on it, there could be a chance coming up, but I need to talk to them. Yeah, and I didn't want to speak to them until I knew it was finished, and I told you lot it was already finished. And although in my mind I still want to continue with it, it's finished. Perfect can wait, it's beautiful. That'll do. Right, what are we working on next? Here, I've got one of these I prepared earlier. Oh, cowboys, or more importantly, cowgirls. Yeah, those followers of the channel will remember a little while ago, yeah, I got into a little spurt about what a cowboy, yeah, and I put a video out showing some things I've been working on. Now, these are two pieces that I think there's videos I did on these, at least showing them off or what I did, yeah, but this is a water tower, this is a windmill, I just need to sort the propellers, and then my next project is this. It's a Sarissa Precision. All these are from Sarissa Precision, by the way. Yeah. It's going to be this church. And I'm going to be smartening this up. Customizing this. And this is my set for my What a Cowboy games. And also Dead Man's Hand. So, we do have a terrain project that I am really looking forward to launching in. So my next job, yeah, is to actually pack this away. But I'll do it another day. Like, when we're not in the middle of a heat wave. No, we'll get it done now. That's the right thing to do. But, yeah, this has been the swamp set. This is what's coming. And I hope you're glad I'm back on the channel, folks. In the meantime, let's wrap it up. Listen, the links are on the screen. Yeah, they're in the description. If you've liked it, like it. If you're not subbed and you've reached this far, then you know where the sub button is. Yeah, and everything else, if you want to support me, it's down below. But the important thing is, let's keep cracking on. All the best, yeah? Ta-ra.